It started the night we returned from a friend's burial. At exactly midnight, a call came in. My wife's phone rang. At the same time, mine rang too. We were exhausted. The journey had been long, and neither of us had spoken much on the drive home. Half asleep, I reached over and silenced both phones. I assumed it was just a normal call. In the morning, I checked my call log. Nothing. No missed call, no number. My wife checked hers, too. Nothing. We laughed it off. Maybe we imagined it. Maybe we were just too tired. But the next night, it happened again. Exactly midnight. A call came in. Both phones rang at the same time. This time, we sat up and stared at the screens. No number. The screen was blank. I was about to answer, but my wife stopped me. "Leave it," she said quietly. "We'll check it in the morning." So I silenced them again. By morning, there was still no record of any call. My wife frowned. "Maybe it's the network," she said. We waited all day. No call came. On the third night, it happened again. I sat up slowly. This wasn't normal. By morning, we noticed tiny ants crawling across the bedroom floor. Not one, not two, many. We swept them away in silence. That was when I noticed something else. Our bedroom door was slightly open. We never left it that way. I decided to call my friend. "Bro," I said, "something strange has been happening since that night." "What do you mean?" he asked. "Our phones ring every midnight, both of them. But there's never a number." There was a long pause. Then he spoke quietly. "Relax. Maybe it's coincidence. Switch off your phones at night. It could be nothing." That night, we did exactly that. Both phones. Completely off. We stayed awake, watching, waiting. Midnight came, and suddenly both phones started ringing, even though they were off. My heart pounded. This wasn't possible. I reached for my phone. "Please, don't answer it," my wife whispered. Her voice was shaking, but I had to know. I pressed the answer button, and at that exact moment, the moment I answered the midnight call, the light in the house went off. At the same instant, my wife's phone stopped ringing. I pressed my phone to my ear, my hands shaking. At first, there was nothing. Then I heard it, breathing, slow, heavy. My heart began to race. I held the phone closer, trying to listen. A faint crackling sound followed. Then a voice. "Help." Then the call ended. Silence filled the room. I checked my phone. No number. My wife checked hers. Nothing. She stared at me, her voice shaking. "What did you hear?" I hesitated. Then I told her. She exhaled slowly. "Did you recognize the voice?" she asked. I shook my head. No. A cold breeze slipped into the room. The curtain moved slightly. For the first time since this began, I felt afraid. "Something isn't right," I whispered. My wife held my arm tightly. "Please, fix the light," she said. "We need to see." I stood up, forcing myself to stay calm. I walked to the fuse box and adjusted it. The lights came back. Everything looked normal again, but nothing felt normal. We sat in silence until morning. Then came a knock on the door. I opened it. It was my friend. He stepped inside and looked at us carefully. "Did the call come again?" he asked. My wife nodded. "It did," she said quietly. I added, "I heard a voice. It said, 'Help.'" His expression shifted for a brief second. Then he quickly composed himself. "Did you recognize it?" he asked quietly. "No," I replied, but it sounded like a woman. He was silent. Then he said, "I will stay tonight. I want to hear it myself." I shook my head. "You just buried your wife," I said quietly. "You shouldn't stress yourself over this. I will try to find out what's happening." "No," he said. "There's no need to involve anyone else yet." His voice was calm, but something about it felt different. "I'm here," he added. "We will figure it out." I looked at him. His words should have comforted me, but they didn't. Still, I nodded. Later that night, he returned carrying a small black bag. We wanted to find out what was behind the midnight calls. My friend volunteered to stay with us that night. He arrived carrying a small black bag and sat quietly in the living room. My wife gently pulled me aside into the kitchen. She lowered her voice. "I don't trust your friend," she whispered. "I don't know why, but something about him doesn't feel right." I gave a small smile, trying to calm her. "You worry too much," I said softly. "I've known him for 5 years." She shook her head slowly. "Please, let's just be careful. My heart isn't at peace." I placed my hand on her shoulder. "Relax, honey. These midnight calls are affecting me too. But don't let fear make you imagine things." She nodded, but her eyes still held doubt. We returned to the living room. Then suddenly my friend leaned down and opened his black bag. He brought out a bottle of wine. "I bought this," he said calmly. "It's one of my best. You will enjoy it." I nodded, then turned to my wife. "Honey, please get glasses." She hesitated, then quietly went to the kitchen and returned with glasses. He poured the wine slowly. I picked mine and took a sip. It tasted smooth. But he didn't drink his. He just watched my wife. "You're not drinking?" he asked quietly. She shook her head. "I'm fine." His eyes stayed on her for a moment longer. Then he smiled faintly. We continued talking. Minutes passed. I turned to my wife. "I want to sleep," I said. "Sleep? Isn't it too early?" she asked, surprised. I didn't answer. My eyes were heavy. I lay down on the couch. My wife stood up immediately. She looked confused, alarmed, but before she could move. My friend stood up. "You think you're smart?" he said calmly. She froze. At that exact moment, thunder roared across the sky. Rain began to pour heavily. Lightning flashed across the window. And then, someone was standing outside. A woman. She wore a white gown, soaked by the rain. Her hair clung to her face. She didn't move. She just stood there, watching. My wife gasped. My friend turned toward the window, and his face changed. Real fear filled his eyes, his lips trembled. "Selena?" he whispered. His voice broke. It was time to finally find out who was behind the midnight calls. My wife stared at the woman standing outside our window, completely soaked by the rain. Then she gasped. "Selena?" She rushed to the door and opened it immediately. Selena stepped inside slowly. Her body looked weak, like someone who had not slept in days. Her eyes moved around the room. Then she raised her trembling hand and pointed directly at my friend. "He is wicked," she said weakly. The room fell into silence. My friend froze. Then suddenly he grabbed his black bag and rushed toward the door. He pulled the handle. It didn't open. My wife had locked it the moment Selena entered. "Open this door!" he shouted. His voice was no longer calm. My wife ignored him. She ran to me and shook me urgently. "Honey, wake up! Please wake up!" My head felt heavy, like I had been pulled from somewhere far away. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Everything looked blurry. Then I saw my friend standing near the door. Panic filled his face. "What's happening?" I asked quietly. Selena spoke again, her voice shaking. "Your so-called friend is behind his wife's death," she said, "and he is the reason I disappeared." The room went silent. My heart began to pound. "How?" I asked. She took a slow breath. Her eyes filled with tears. "When he realized I knew the truth, he took me away. He said he wanted to explain everything, but I never returned home." She paused. "If not for God, I don't know where I would be today. The place they kept me. No one should ever see such a place." Her hands trembled. "But one of them pitied me," she continued. "He never spoke much. He only watched. One day he asked if there was anyone who could help me. I told him about your wife." My heart raced. "The next night," she whispered, "he made the calls." I stood up slowly. "The midnight calls?" She nodded. I don't know how he got your numbers, she said. But every time, before he handed me the phone, he would do something first. She paused. He only gave me the phone while it was already ringing, but he always took it back. Her voice dropped. But tonight he helped me escape. My friend began pulling at the locked door desperately. It didn't open. Then suddenly sirens filled the night. My friend froze. My wife stood still beside me. That was when I realized she had quietly called authorities. Moments later, they entered and took him away. He didn't resist. He knew it was over. Later, Selena told the full truth. After that night, the calls stopped. Forever. Peace returned to our home. No matter how long evil hides, truth will always find a way out. May God deliver us from every evil plan. Amen. The end.